How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana stuns Michigan State and East Lansing with a 71-67 win. In a game, guys, that this one is really staggering to me. I'm not going to lie to you. This one is something I did not see coming at all. The Hoosiers played better than we've seen them in a long time. They've played defense with more energy than we've seen them in a long time. They played zone at a very, very high level in a way that it was effective towards the end of that Michigan game, and it makes you scratch your head a little bit why maybe we didn't see a zone a little bit earlier in the season, because IU played it really, really well. It certainly helped that Michigan State couldn't hit a three to save its ass. That's certainly helpful. But regardless, Indiana did a great job of getting to the bucket, of breaking down Michigan State, making the most of the opportunities they had. They made free throws down the stretch. They rallied from a 10-point deficit, and they walk away with a tough road win in an environment that most people certainly did not think Indiana was going to be able to do. 812-393-2600 is the number. Late on a Tuesday night, we get to talk some basketball and just chat about what it is that where the Hoosiers go from here, because this is it's an exciting win. There's no two ways about it. It is an exciting win because the Hoosiers again just were not expected in any way, shape, or form to do this. And I don't think that there would be more than friends and family of this basketball team that thought that they were going to go to Michigan State and not get the hell beat out of them. But they took care of it. They took care of it, and they did it on the back of Malik Renew and Omar Ballo, who combine for a total of 33 points and 22 rebounds between the two of them. Ballo was a man among boys until he fouled out. Renew just kept going back to that left shoulder, back to the left shoulder, back to the left shoulder, and Michigan State had no answer for it. And then the Hoosiers' zone was everything. It completely took the Spartans out of what they were trying to do. Their lack of three-point shooting really showed, as Sparty went 4 of 23 from the field overall, or from three-point range, 21 of 55 overall, but 4 of 23 from three-point range. The Hoosiers took care of the ball. They played with good energy. They were smart with the basketball. Basically, they played a way that we haven't seen them play in a long time. And I know you could talk about close wins against Purdue and close losses against Purdue and Maryland, and they gave themselves an opportunity, all of this kind of stuff. Bottom line is, it's not how, it's how many. And Indiana's been losing these ball games, and I felt there was a really good chance that Indiana was going to lose this one, and instead they pull out a win. Does it change the season? Maybe not, but we'll see. Maybe it does. Maybe it will go ahead and beef up their confidence a little bit, change what they do. It'll be interesting. You had a change in the starting lineup for this one, as Mike Woodson turns to Anthony Leal and Luke Goody in the starting lineup, and Miles Rice and Malik Renew come off the bench. It wasn't a change that lasted long, less than 2 minutes. But the bottom line is, against Michigan State, those two bigs worked really, really well. And again, the zone defense was everything. It is the story of the game. And, here we go. I'm going to be really, really interested to hear what the players have to say after this one, because I'm pretty sure we're not going to be hearing from Mike Woodson tonight. Pretty sure of that. 812-393-2600 is the number. I don't care if I hear from Mike Woodson or not. I want to hear from you. Drew Nergy on the chat gives us a good woo. It's Mike F it, I'm fired anyways, Woodson. The thing of it is I just did not. I wonder where the zone has been, because obviously IU was effective with it. They bothered Michigan State from the second they shifted to that zone. Indiana made that shift, completely took Michigan State out of its rhythm, and the Spartans had no answer for it. And they managed to score the victory. Indiana rallied from a 12-point deficit in the first half. They led 32-29 at the break after being down 20-8. They came back. They led 32-29 at the break, built on that lead early, and then kept Sparty at arm's length the rest of the way. Indiana also bounced back from a rebounding standpoint on this thing, too, because Michigan State owned the offensive glass early. And they did end up out-rebounding Indiana 12-7 on the offensive glass. However, Indiana started turning some of those misses and just hitting the glass a lot harder and limiting those possessions along the way. 812-393-2600 is the number. We have our first caller of the night. Caller, if I can have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hello, my name's Drew. I was just on the chat from Fort Wayne.
Hey, Drew, how are you doing?
I'm great. Didn't think I would be great right now. But yeah, I'm great. I can't believe that we won that game. The zone, like you're talking about, it was I think the difference.
It really was, and it was an active zone. It was something that the Spartans really struggled to find any kind of room to penetrate, to go to the bucket. They ended up adjusting as time went on, got a little bit better at it. But there's no question that compared to the first couple of minutes, the second that zone went in, they struggled to find any kind of rhythm offensively.
Yeah, I think that there was some graphic where it was like they only had, was it 3 points in the last 6 minutes, something like that. I don't remember the minutes, but it was something I've never seen IU do this year, and probably not last year either. It was hold defense or hold the opposing team to a drought.
Yeah, they made a three with 5:41 left in the first half and scored 2 points the rest of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that part of this, the reason he kind of did this, is because now he has really nothing to lose. Because I mean, doing his zone all game is pretty gutsy. I think not really common these days in college ball or really any basketball. But
well, once you get into it, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I want to see more of that zone. And I know that's usually like a sin to say in basketball, but I mean, hey, when you're coming off, what is it, a 6-game losing streak, 5-game losing streak?
Yeah.
You can't really get much worse, so.
Yeah, so throw it out there, and they were able to pull off the win on the road. And I understand that this is a ball club that has had some close misses along the way, and I'm not going to lie. You get to the end of the game, and I know I kept wondering if this was going to be another late game issue here. But
yeah, I was texting all my friends, being like, "Yeah, whatever you got, put it on Michigan State money line."
Exactly.
We were up by 9 with what was like 2.5 minutes to go. But I do have to say there were some free throws that it shouldn't have been a free throw battle as much as it was down the stretch, because we missed a lot of free throws to get them back in the game.
Yeah, they did miss, a front end of a 1-and-1 or split free throws, and Michigan State is just relentless. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of nerve-wracking. I know that happens, but that got my heart rate up for sure.
But they ended up getting the victory, and so now does it change your season? It's fine. It's a good win for them, no question. It's a quad 1 win, so it's a positive. But do it again, because it doesn't get easier now.
Yeah, it's interesting though to think about, it's a top 10 win on the road, but with the recent news, it's like I'm excited, but at the same time, like, does this win really mean anything? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, it's going to depend on what happens over the next couple of games, because you have two straight home games
Yeah.
now. You got UCLA coming up on Friday, then you have 9 days off before you take on Purdue. So you could change the narrative of the season, even if you're going to have that coaching change. That's going to happen, and regardless of what happens down the stretch here, that change needed to happen.
Yeah.
But the fact that we also, I guess it doesn't, it makes it so that it doesn't prolong the question here. We know the direction this program is going. And so if they could finish strong, that's a positive. And if they don't, there's no pressure on anybody at this point, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no. I just wonder what happens. Let's say somehow we're still in the tournament hunt. I don't know how. I mean, not really seriously, but we somehow still are on the bubble. Maybe definitely outside the bubble, but looking in. What would I guess I don't know if it's a doomsday scenario or what, but what do you think would we do anything if like we had a good tournament run? Let's say Woody just turns it up.
No.
What would happen?
No, this is going to be done.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be done. The announcement has been made. Everything like that. There's no pulling this back.
Yeah, I just think that with that, I think that it might be, I don't know, because if let's say that does happen, there might be some issues with him pushing back if he does well.
I can push back all he wants to, but they don't announce that with any kind of without any kind of agreement being done. And also, let's face it, let's not go crazy about a 4-point win on the road. It's a good win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that that it is one victory, and we haven't seen a consistency at all.
Now, was this game a game that would have put Izzo ahead of Bob Knight in Big Ten wins?
Yes, absolutely.
That's funny that we prevented that for at least another game. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting story, too, because of the fact that Izzo picked up his first ever Big Ten win against Indiana in 1996. Yeah. And, that pretty much everybody thought he was going to be able to break the record against Indiana, but he's going to have to wait.
Yeah, it's going to be against whoever they play next. But, yeah, it's going to happen. But at least it's not against IU. So.
Yep, exactly. Well, I appreciate the call.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot. 812-393-2600 is your number. Over on the chat, Lynn says, one question I had against the Michigan game, if the zone was working during the comeback, why change it in the end of the game? It's that inconsistency that we talk about. And it has been a ongoing problem for the Hoosiers, and they were inconsistent in this one. Up early, down early, rallied to come back and take a lead, got up by 9 points, allowed Michigan State to crawl back in. I understand basketball is a game of runs. I get that. I also can't get over I don't want to say can't get over the fact, but I'm very conscious of the fact that everything in this game came from Ballo and Renew. Everything. Rice had a couple of drives to the bucket, and that was nice. Goody hit a couple of threes early, but the bulk of this game came from Ballo and Renew inside. And you didn't have much outside of that. The Hoosiers, 3 of 13 from three-point range. And Goody had 2 of those early in the game. Hoosier shot 63.6% in the second half alone, took just 3 3-pointers. So again, I understand that this was a game, I think, though, that those bigs made a difference against a team that Indiana is uniquely matches up well with. I'll put it that way. I know that we have some folks up in East Lansing, so I'm quite confident we're going to be able to get some video of what should be the players, after the game. So when that comes in, I'll be able to get that to you. But for now, 812-393-2600. Troika on the chat says, great win, but for Woody, a day late and $1 short. And that's exactly it. Now, I'm quite confident in Woody's mind. This just pisses him off more. He's like, see, I have this thing going in the right direction. See, I got this. Why am I being pushed out of here? Because I know Woody thinks that it's just a matter of the players haven't been executing, that what he's been doing is been working just fine. And so, he'll go ahead and flush those losses quickly and just focus on this win and say, hey, you know what? We're 15-10 overall. We are 6-8 in the conference. We put together a couple of wins, play like this. Who knows? Folks, I don't want you to lose sight of the fact that the decision that was made was the right decision. And it's nice to feel a victory on the road. It absolutely is. I don't want to take anything away from the way the Hoosiers played. I also want to see them do it again, because that they have it in them. Lynn on the chat says, you're exactly right. That kind of offense won't win games consistently. Surprised Izzo didn't change up the defense against the IU bully ball approach, and I was as well. I was really surprised at just how easily Indiana was able to get to the bucket time and time and time again. And I'm talking about Miles Rice. I'm talking about Trey Galloway. They were able to get to the bucket, and then Balo and Renew just made a living down there. Now, that's their game. They're down on the low block. That's what they do. But it's just, it was amazing just how easy it was. And the thing is if Indiana did this against every team, that would be one thing. But this is a kind of a uniquely Michigan State issue, because other teams have had trouble dealing with Balo along the way. And most of what Indiana does is inside, but they were at a next level of dominant today. Another comment on the chat about Anthony Leal being so active in the zone and clutch on those free throws. They were clutch free throws. There ain't no question about that. That kid made him when he needed him. And, those were his only 2 points of the day. And he got the job done. And I'm happy for him, because he's put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this program. And so I'm very, very happy for him that he was able to enjoy this victory. 812-393-2600 is the number. Lines are open. Please give me a call. I know it is 11:30 on a Tuesday. Could not believe how late how much time those last 5 minutes took. That was like a half hour worth. I was like, hell, we're getting on the air early today. And obviously we didn't. Wendy on the chat says, great win. Do you think it's too little too late for the NCAA tournament? Look, Indiana has a path, but they're going to have to really start stacking wins. And I mean, I'm talking this is a step in the right direction, to say the least. But UCLA, basically win out, and then we could really talk about it. Because you have left in the season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. So you get to 21 and you get to 21-10 and get to the Big Ten tournament. And if you are 21-10 and 11-8, or I guess what would that end up being? So it would end up being 12-8 in the Big Ten. You're going to the tournament at that point, because you've stacked some wins. But again, the question is this a blip? Is this a performance that's just thanks to the pressure that was released on the program? Although you would have expected a little bit more than what we saw against Michigan last week. It also was far from Michigan State's best game. Part of it was Indiana's zone, but part of it was Michigan State missed some looks along the way. And, it is what it is. But again, you wonder to yourself, where's the zone been? What is it that you're able to do? Look, early in the game, I was just thought to myself, wow, this might get bad. This might get a little bit rough because Indiana fell behind way early, or double digits early, and then that change up in defense was everything. Which Mike Woodson deserves a ton of credit for making that adjustment in the game. You wonder too if maybe that was part of the game plan to wait, start in man-to-man like you normally would. And then if they start scoring, if they build a lead, shift to that zone and then stick with it. Just rattle Sparty's cage a little bit. Wonder if that was part of the equation. I know that, we will see on that. But if that was a strategy, it was a good strategy, to say the least. Let's look at some individual stats. Again, 812-393-2600 is the number. Leading scorer was Malik Renew, scored 19 points on 8 of 19 shooting, added 12 rebounds, a couple of assists, a couple turnovers, had a block in 29 minutes. Came off the bench, too, which is how Indiana had 32 points off of the bench because, again, 19 of them came from Renew, another 10 from Miles Rice. In the starting lineup, Oumar Ballo, 14 points on 6 of 8 shooting, 10 rebounds, a couple of assists. He did foul out and had 3 turnovers, fouled out in 26 minutes, but he also led the Hoosiers by being plus 13. Mackenzie Mbako, 7 points on 1 of 4 shooting, but he had some critical free throws down the stretch. He added 2 rebounds and had a block shot. Played just 13 minutes. So think about that. You go on the road and Mbako scores 7 points and plays just 13 minutes. Ballo fouls out. You're saying that Indiana probably got waxed by another 20 points. Didn't happen this time. Luke Goody, 10 points on 3 of 6 shooting, 2 of 4 from three-point range. 3 rebounds and assists, had 4 steals. That was really important. He played the top of that zone really, really well when he was up there. He was long. Made a difference. Trey Galloway, 6 points and 3 of 6 shooting. He did not have a rebound. He had just 1 assist, played 24 minutes, and was by far the worst plus-minus guy, minus 15 on the day. Nobody else was lower than minus 4. And finally, Anthony Leal, 2 points in 29 minutes, had just 1 rebound, had 3 assists, go with 2 turnovers and 2 steals. But again, those 2 free throws were absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. Miles Rice, 10 points on 3 of 7 shooting, 1 of 3 from three-point range. 2 rebounds, had an assist, had a steal in 36 minutes, came off the bench. So again, look, starting lineup being shaken up didn't mean a damn thing because Rice played 36 minutes, Renew played 29 minutes, and came into the game less than 2 minutes into the game. So that lineup shakeup wasn't a big deal, and it wasn't the difference in the game either, to say the least. It was the defense. And then finally, Bryson Tucker rounds out the scoring, played 7 minutes, had 3 points, all of them from the free throw line. The Hoosiers had 10 assists on 24 made baskets, which is not a lot. It's not a lot. A lot of one-on-one, a lot of going to the basket, but the Spartans did not do a good job of protecting the rim, clogging the lane, doing any of that. The second that the bigs came out of the paint, the Hoosiers went to the bucket. And again, you wonder where the hell that has been. That's what it is. 812-393-2600 is the number. Natasha says 6 more wins and we're back in business and dancing. And you're right. You're absolutely right. Which, let's face it. Is that the best case scenario for the Hoosiers? What happened tonight? Is it the best case scenario? Because you look at a season and you look at a direction a program is going. If Indiana won out, just hypothetically, if they won out and you still had a coaching change in the offseason that was able to bring fans together to make it so that, this is a coaching staff that had lost the crowd. Winning one game isn't going to bring everybody back. You win 7 straight, win a game in the Big Ten tournament, go to the NCAA tournament. There will be a lot of excitement about it, but there's also going to be that extra excitement of something fresh and new coming next year, a reason for hope to grow. So I'm not going to get too high over one win on the road, but it was a nice win. I'm not going to complain about it either. I'm not trying to say anything bad about the way Indiana played. They played far and above expectations today and used their defense to shut down a Spartans team that's been unbeatable at home. The Hoosiers deserve credit for that, including Mike Woodson deserves credit for that. Now do it again. That's the tough part when it comes to this kind of thing. 812-393-2600 is the number. It's a work night. I've also noticed that these shows get a little bit quieter when Indiana wins the ball game. And I think that's kind of entertaining to me. Teach Legal on the chat says, stop hating. Great road win against top team. I'm not arguing that, man. I'm not arguing that. It is a great road win against a top team. I'm not arguing that at all. It's great that Indiana did it. I think people were this is kind of the game that people were expecting Indiana would play throughout the season. And so when these kind of games happen, you're happy that you finally see them, but you also wonder, where the hell has this been all year? Where's been this effort? And again, I think part of it is just Indiana matched up very, very well with Michigan State and the way they played and their style. And that zone worked. I think that caught Michigan State off guard. I think that's the bottom line on this thing. Michigan State was caught off guard, and here we are. Andrew says, just keep winning. Who knows? Not arguing that either. You start stacking wins, that's great. I'm just saying, again, the whole thing is you don't get too high with the win. You don't get too low with the loss. It's all about trends over time and all of that kind of stuff. And I can tell you this much, on Friday night at Assembly Hall when UCLA comes to town, I don't doubt for a second the Assembly Hall crowd is going to have IU's back 1,000%. They did against Michigan. That was a really good crowd in terms of support. Place wasn't full, but it was a good, the crowd that was there, they were loud. And Indiana does have opportunities, but they gotta stack them up along the way. Again, 812-393-2600. It's on your screen. You could see that. We actually do have Mike Woodson during the post-game press conference, which I was under the impression that wasn't going to be the case, but here we are. So that's exciting. We do have that. So without any further ado, as this goes ahead and loads up, let's hear from head coach Mike Woodson during his post-game press conference following Indiana's 71-67 win at number 11 Michigan State.
Did you mention to the team at all about, Tom was chasing Bob Knight's record? Did you mention that in your pregame speech at all? Talked about it?
Never once did. I knew. Tom Izzo's a hell of a coach, man. Great coach. He's done it for a lot of years. He's won a lot of games. And to be mentioned in Bob Knight's, in his arena, man, that means Tom Izzo's pretty goddamn special. I mean, really special. And, I didn't think I needed to tell our guys that, man, we're just trying to get get off this slide and get a win. And I thought we had a total team effort tonight from everybody, and the zone helped us. I mean, that was the key factor tonight in winning this ball game.
Coach, what led to the 2-3 zone, and in your eyes, what made it so effective?
We played it against Michigan the second half and held them to 29 points. And this team really gets up and down the floor. You know, when you take bad shots, man, they run it right. You can make shots, and they run it right back at you. And so we just felt like the only way to slow them down was to play some zone. The zone was effective, and we were able to come out here with a win.
Whose decision was it to go into that zone?
It was the team's decision. You know, we all in this together, you know, and they played the hell out of it, and we ended up on the winning end, which we needed to win badly.
Your thoughts on just how well Malik played tonight, scoring, rebounding, everything?
Well, I can't say enough about Malik because I went to him the other day and told him he wasn't starting, and probably didn't sit well with him, but he said, Coach, whatever you need me to do, and he came in and he played his ass off, and that's all you can ask for. It's about team.
Malik, what does it mean to you under the circumstances that these guys are playing hard enough for you right now to pull out a win in a place that's really hard to win like this?
Well, it means a lot, man. We've lost some close games, you know what I mean, even though we just haven't been able to finish. You know, I take a lot of pride in that as a coach because the Purdue game was a game that we could have won. You know, Maryland at home, Northwestern on the road. They were just name them so quickly, man, but we didn't win them, so we got to look ahead, man, and try to figure out these next games. UCLA is next. They're playing tremendous basketball, and, you know, we're playing them in our gym on our floor. We just got to come out and put a 40-minute ball game together.
Malik, what's this week been like for you guys, and how have you guys tried to rally together? Do you have any player meetings, or what have you guys done kind of in the wake of the news?
Yeah, I think everybody know what the situation is now, so we're just coming together and trying to play as hard as we can every time we step on the court, no matter if we're home or away, so that's what we're trying to do.
Mike, you know that Coach Knight hardly ever played zone as coaching. We know that as well as anybody. What's the level of irony that he used his own defense tonight to keep him atop the Big Ten?
Well, me and Jim Todd, one of my consultants, we kid a lot about zone because he was a zone guy when I was in the NBA, and I won a playoff series down one and had to win a game on the road and come home and close it out in 7. And he convinced me to play a 2-3 zone, and we ended up winning that game. And I couldn't thank him enough. And you know, I got great coaches that work for me that truly helps me with the 2-3 zone, and we worked on it the last few days, and it paid off for us tonight.
Was that zone the main defensive coverage you guys worked on in practice over the last few days?
Yes, we was working on it the last few days. After coming out of the Michigan game, we thought we could use it, and I thought tonight we did a hell of a job in running it.
Malik, what was working well for you tonight when you got in the game and really started getting things going?
Well, I was getting frustrated with myself early on in the stretch, but Coach came up to me and told me just, they don't got no shot blockers, just go straight to the rim, and that's what I started doing. And the second half, I was doing that, and everything was working for me. So.
Two bigs were relatively effective tonight. Do you take satisfaction in that?
Yes, sir, because there's a lot of media going out there saying a lot about me and Ballo, so it felt good to get a win with me and Ballo in there together.
Coach, what does it say about your team's perseverance when Ballo went out before fouls?
Again, I mean, we have enough talent on this team, man, and I just got to do a better job these last 6, 7 games, I think it is, left in getting these guys to believe in one another, man, because that's what it's all about. I mean, they've had a tough go at it, but I can't let them quit, man. We just got to keep working and keep pushing each other and see where it leads us.
Like Malik said, you know, we know the circumstances. You know, what's kind of been your messaging to the players about, you know, what's happening?
Well, it's tough, man. You know, they know that I won't be back. You know, that's been tough on these guys. It's tough on me. But we still got a lot of season left, man. And I just want these guys to believe. I want them to get in the tournament and experience it, and get in the Big Ten tournament and see if you can win it. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's not just getting there. You know, you want to get there and try to win a Big Ten tournament and then see where that leads you. So, you know, I just got to keep pushing them, keep them positive, keep them up.
Malik, they were going to you pretty much on every possession in the late second half. What did that mean to you to put the game on your shoulders like that? And is this the best you felt in a while?
Yeah, I mean, just what coach just believing in me so much and going to me every play, it just feels great that he trusted in me to go make that play in that basket or the pass to help my team out. So it just feels good.
Thanks, guys.
So there is Mike Woodson and Malik Renew during his post-game press conference. Interesting. What do you had to say about how that was what they were working on throughout the practices, getting ready to play some zone? And it's obviously the right thing to do. They came out and switched it up, and even in the post-game press conference, Tom Izzo said that basically the Spartans weren't ready for him. He said, first off, said Mike Woodson did a better job of coaching tonight than he did. And he added that Indiana had played, they haven't zoned much this year, maybe minutes. Said Michigan State didn't attack the zone well, but also missed some open shots. And that's exactly the case. If you look at the way Michigan State plays, moving to a zone was the right thing to do. Michigan State is the worst three-point shooting team in the Big Ten, makes 29.3% of their shots. Given Indiana's length, given their ability to have a couple of days to work on it, going to a zone was the right thing. It was smart. You also usually can limit your three-point attempt, your free throw attempts by going to zone. Michigan State still got to the free throw line plenty. They were 21 of 25 on the day. But a lot of those free throws came early in the game. I think 7 of them came real close. Michigan State shot 9 free throws in the first half. 7 of them came real early in the game. Indiana moves to zone, and all of a sudden those free throws went down. The Hoosiers gained some momentum, led at halftime, and never really looked back. In a 71-67 victory. 812-393-2600 is the number. Lines are wide open. Want to hear from you? It is, again, approaching midnight on a work night. So if we don't have, calls coming in, I'll go ahead and let you guys get to bed. I understand that completely. But I do think it's important to talk about where Indiana goes from here. Will we see more of that zone? Well, UCLA, Indiana's next opponent, is number 8 in the Big Ten at making 34% of their threes. Purdue is number 3 in the Big Ten, making 37 and about 37.4% of their threes. Ohio State makes 37.6% of their threes. Those are 3 of the final 5-6 games that we got coming up here. So we'll see. We'll certainly see, but they hit on something that worked right there. And I also think I thought it was interesting. You heard Malik Renew say that he's heard the outside noise about the 2 bigs, and it was meaningful for him to be able to enjoy the victory and be as effective as he was. Kind of sounded like he was saying that it was validating what had been done throughout the year. And what I've always wondered about is, I don't think anybody has had an issue with the players themselves being the 2 bigs on the floor. There have been times, it's clogged up space, but they both, him and Ballo, play kind of the same game. Wasn't on them. Nobody was pointing fingers at them. Point fingers at Mbako a little bit for sometimes getting in the way, not having great court awareness in terms of spacing. But it really is. Nobody was sitting there saying that Renew was the problem because he was playing wrong. It was on Mike Woodson to not have those guys out there. And for one game, it worked. And so it'd be great if it happened again and they were able to be effective with their attack with the two of them. We'll see if they can. 812-393-2600 is the number. We got a caller. Caller, if I can have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
It's Troy from Elkhart.
Hi, Troy. How you doing? Staying warm up in Elkhart?
I'm trying.
What are your thoughts?
Well, the broadcast said something about this was our first road win against a ranked team since we beat Purdue back in 2023. I think so.
Yeah, I think it's actually their first win over any ranked team.
Yeah, against a ranked team. I mean, so that's just tells you where the program's been. I just thought, this type of effort, if we would have had it, the last 2 years, all season this year, it'd be a whole different story for the program and for Woody's, coaching situation. And, I like the aggressive offense, the guards and everyone being able to drive, obviously, what the two bigs did, but also, just the guards being able to, push it into the rim, driving into the rim, the transition offense, just being really aggressive. And it showed in us getting to the, I think we shot like 28 free throws tonight versus their 25. And then, we hit 71% of that, which isn't great, but it's still, better than, what we might have expected from this team. So, I like, but the problem is, we have this type of, 3-point, I forget what it said we shot on 3-point,
we were 3 of 13.
23.
Yeah, 3 of 13.
23% for us, and we held them to 17%. So, like you were saying, they're the worst 3-point shooting team in the conference.
Indiana and Michigan State are 2 of the 3 worst in the conference.
Yeah. So, we're not gonna have such a good, somewhat defensive showing against them. They scored. I'm looking at the stats: 1.02 points per possession versus we had 1.08 against them. So yeah, any team that can shoot, 3-pointers, they're gonna have us. So, and then I thought the zone defense, why did it take 4 years to figure this out? And I've heard on one of the other podcasts, they always talk about, Woodson's, running a nail slot rim defense, and the way that on this other podcast they seem to say sometimes it seems like it's too complicated for our players. I mean, not just our players, but it could be too complicated for any collegiate team to try to run. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a coach, so I can't say, but it certainly, I think zone simplified things up, and you can see what we can do defensively. I mean, we've got the athletes and stuff. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. I really hope we stick with it for, it's not one of the tenets of Knights basketball and what we typically want to see in the whole state of Indiana. But it's working for us, so let's stick with it.
Well, and
I guess.
to me, he Woodson in the presser said that basically his assistants and his consultants had to convince him to go with zone, and they decided to go ahead and go with it because look, the way that they had been playing hasn't been working, so why not, especially against the worst 3-point shooting team in the Big Ten. And that flexibility in terms of approach, I think, could have served Mike Woodson a hell of a lot better earlier in the season, and it might have changed the narrative a little bit.
Well, it could have served him early, 2 years ago.
Sure.
I mean,
it's
like
it's
I
not
said
all
in
or
my
nothing. You don't have to play it, but you could show it plenty.
yeah, you've got. I mean, I think a good coach, has their game strategy both offensively and defensively, but they also recognize, hey, how coachable are my players, or how receptive are they to my coaching and my staff's coaching message. And if it's not working, you got to try something else out. You can't go 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, we were lucky when he had Trace, the first 2 seasons, and I think that hit a lot of, shortcomings of the offense and defense of how things were going. But, without someone with his capabilities, it just shows that what his method really wasn't working. And now we're almost at the end of his coaching career in Indiana, and now he decides to do something different. I mean, like I said in my comment, day late and dollar short. So, and then just not just and one thing, 2 other things. One is, it sucks that it's happening for Woody, but and he's as others have said, he's paying the price for Archie's shortcomings, and Archie paid the price for Crean's shortcomings. So Woody's feeling, the wrath of the Indiana fans for for the poor performance of the last 2 decades, the ups and downs, and it sucks that it has to happen to him, but that's just sort of how it goes. And
I disagree with you on that. I don't look, people are frustrated and want Indiana to win more, but I really don't feel like this is something to where Indiana fans are tired of losing from the late Crean years and the Archie years, and so therefore Woodson had a shorter leash than any coach would.
Not a shorter leash. Not a shorter leash. I mean, he deserved to go after year 3.
Right.
I mean,
I agree.
I've said before, what you see by your 3rd or 4th year. I mean, definitely your 4th year, but even in your 3rd year. So for me, the UConn loss, I mean, just being blown out. A good coach should be able to find a way to adjust. With the type of athletes we have, that just shouldn't happen. Louisville this year, Nebraska, for I don't know how many times in a row we've lost to Nebraska. This year Iowa, and then right after that Illinois. Right. I mean, a good coach would not, maybe in the first year, but someone who's brings this NBA experience, and decides to get rid of Mata, and I don't know what was going on with Fife, but either way, 2 people that could have helped him adjust to the collegiate game, and he doesn't. He needed to be able to adjust by the 3rd and 4th year for sure. Let alone given that he was coming from the NBA with head coaching experience, he should have been able to adjust within the 1st or 2nd year. And you can't lose like we did to UConn in the 3rd year. That was that was a red flag, and we just had too many ups and downs. But one thing, but I think we're for me, and I think for some others I've seen on some other boards and whatnot, we're just feeling what's gone on the last 2 decades. But Woody certainly earned his situation that he's in. But we're also remembering, man, how things just didn't work out with Archie, how things didn't work out with Crean in the end. And he's going to feel our wrath about that as well, unfortunately. But he has certainly earned his current situation on his own as well.
Yeah, because
the other thing I was
there's just
going
been
to say,
so many double-digit losses, so many games where they weren't competitive, so many mistakes, late game situations year over year. That's why, there's overall frustration with Indiana not really being competitive in the Big Ten for a long time. I agree with that in terms of a Big Ten race in a long time, but he's also dug his own grave on this thing.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But and we cannot have media. I've said it, in multiple chats and whatnot. You can't have mediocre wins against mediocre teams, and you can't be blown out.
Right.
I mean, as badly as we do, as often as we do. I mean, hey, blowouts happen here and there. A mediocre win against a mediocre team is going to happen here and there, but seasons 3 and 4, I just don't expect it from a good coach.
Right.
And the other thing I was going to say, and I saw this, seems like it was happening with Archie as well, but certainly all throughout Woody's tenure, shot clock awareness. I mean, we're under 2 minutes, and Baco can't get that shot off.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's only, it was like under 5 seconds left or whatever on the shot clock, but that's a pretty common thing that you got to think about that happens. It's just like being able to inbound the ball, when you've got a full court press, it happens, and you got to be able to do it. You got to be able to get a shot off. And, I've seen this all throughout Woody's, tenure, that we have no awareness that, it's 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and okay, we're going to put up a really bad shot. So that's all I got to say for tonight. But awesome win. But and I hope it'd be awesome if we can win out through the rest of the season. But if they give this kind of effort, I'll be happy even if we don't win out through the rest of the season. I mean, it's a lot. If the coaching and the team throughout Woody's tenure would have been like this throughout all 4 years, it'd be a different story.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the call.
Thank you, and thanks for everything you do.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Yep. You too.
812-393-2600 is the number. Last call for phone calls as we move into Wednesday morning. To me, this is what is the biggest takeaway from this game. Great win. I want to not overlook that. It was a great win. It was a great win on the road. It was a tough win. It was a gritty win that saw Indiana fall behind by double digits early, come back in a place that is historically really difficult to win at. The Hoosiers took care of the ball, only had 9 turnovers on the day, and that is no small thing. You took care of the ball, and you took care of the ball without any kind of traditional point guard running the show. Miles Rice handles the ball quite a bit, but I don't think anybody would mistake him for being, a good pass first point guard. That's just not his role. It's just not how he has done the entire season. But for one night, Indiana's effort was fantastic. Indiana's defense, once they shifted to zone, confused their opponent. They were active with their hands. They played more loose, I feel. They made shots or free throws down the stretch. Indiana didn't have a field goal for the final 3 minutes and 14 seconds of this thing. Were they fantastic? No. But in the Big Ten, the whole thing is protect your home court, steal some on the road, be competitive in every game, give yourself an opportunity to win the ball game in the last 2 minutes. That's your recipe. It's what everybody wants to see. Indiana has given itself those opportunities in a number of games. Whether it be Ohio State, which they had to go to overtime there to get it after choking on a 10-point lead, they pulled out the win. They gave themselves a chance to win late against Maryland, gave themselves a chance to win late against Purdue, gave themselves a chance to win late against Michigan, although that one always kind of felt like it was a bit out of reach, kind of flipping of the script from tonight's game where Michigan State just simply couldn't get to where they needed to go, and you expected this.
No, as the coach, I gotta get us over that hump.
Michigan never got over the hump. Michigan State, Indiana got over the hump today. Now, what does it mean for UCLA? Not a damn thing. Because this has not been a trend for Indiana to pull it together and really be able to just get the job done game after game after game. But we'll see. Maybe it changes things a little bit, but it will be a fun game. 8 o'clock tip-off. UCLA has to travel in from the West Coast, take on the Hoosiers at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Then they have a bye week where they don't play for 9 days. So a little bit of time to take a breather before they get back at it. Indiana's about to have 3 straight home games before they head off to the West Coast on March 1st and March 4th. But you have games February 14th, February 23rd, February 26th. So what you're talking about there is after this Friday, Indiana has 1 game in 12 days. Get its head together. 9 days to prepare for Purdue. 3 straight home games. So there are some things that are lined up that can allow Indiana from a win-loss standpoint to get back on track. Doesn't change anything big picture, but at least for one night, Indiana played like the team a lot of people thought they were going to be, and they scored the victory, 71-67. Hoosiers move to 15-10 on the season and 6-8 in the conference. And credit where credit's due. These players and coaches turned in a solid performance, especially on the defensive end, and knocked off one of the best teams in the country. And they deserve all the credit for doing that. Well, that's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best NIU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time, but for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.